To get started, I am Jessica Paxton, the product marketing manager at Smith.ai. If you haven't heard of Smith.ai or if you're new to one of our webinars, we are a 24/7 customer engagement solution. So we answer calls, website chats, SMS messages, and Facebook messages on behalf of our clients. We also do outbound calling, outreach, scheduling of appointments, client intake, payment taking, all sorts of different stuff. So that's us. Today we are going to talk about document automation, effective intake, and you. And I'm going to pass it over to Ashley, who will introduce herself.
Hello, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Ashley Carlisle. I'm the head of marketing at HyperDraft. I'm coming to you from sunny Los Angeles. Finally, it's cooled down a bit. I've been a practicing corporate attorney for over 5 years in California and Texas. And I made the jump from full-time practice to joining the team at HyperDraft because I'm just very passionate about modernizing the legal industry. And I really love how every day we help attorneys like you grow their practice in more sustainable tech-forward ways. So I'm very excited to be here and chat with Jessica.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. So our agenda today, we're going to go through, I guess this would be a good time to start sharing. We're going to go through how to use document automation for growing your practice and effective intake, how to draft documents and fewer touch points and provide best-in-class client service, how to combat common document automation and intake mistakes, how to build connections between intake and doc automation that you've been missing. We're going to talk a lot about that intake funnel, what it looks like, what the marketing funnel looks like, and how to fix different issues that you may not know you've had in your intake funnel. So Ashley, with that, if you want to go ahead and get started.
Sure, I'll share my screen. And I'll do that annoying thing where I ask if everyone can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to talk today about how you can infuse document automation with your intake process. And, I think it's something that isn't talked about a lot because often it's viewed as two separate systems that work on different parts of the matter lifecycle. But I think it's really important with especially a lot of the amazing technology out there today that you really set up systems for success that you can kind of have things working in the background for you so that when you find your ideal client, you can be a few steps ahead. So we're going to be talking about kind of how you can embrace that and scale your practice that way by, letting things work for you in the background. We're going to start with just briefly, what is document automation software? I'm sure many of you are aware or using it already. I hope you are. And it's software that streamlines the drafting process. Typically, it automates away a lot of the tedium that lawyers have to go through when drafting, formatting, re-entering the same client information, what have you. Also, document automation itself is typically a catch-all term in our industry. Document automation, document assembly, document generation. We typically call all of these different types of softwares document automation. I'm not going to bore you with the distinctions between the vocabulary and the different types of software. If you are genuinely curious, so you can go out there and assess solutions more effectively, we have materials, so feel free to reach out to me. I can send you kind of a glossary and a breakdown of the differences in our space so that you can have that knowledge. But one thing I'll say is, one of the common pitfalls we see with people that are trying to use document automation in their practice is they don't realize the commitment that it will take to get it up and running and to extract value from day one. And so when you're looking at solutions, it's kind of important to know if it is a true document automation software or if it is a document generation software. And by document generation, I mean that it has the capability to automate your documents, but that provider is going to do all of the tech implementation for you as well, so that your firm does not have to dedicate headcount internally or hire a different provider to get the value that you're looking for originally when you select that. So like I said, I'm not going to bore you with the breakdown, but we have materials if you're interested. And the great thing about document generation, as opposed to true document automation, is that you really can extract that value from day one as soon as you open your application. So you can skip the tedium in the drafting process, you can maximize your time, you can really use it as a tool to scale your practice and to provide a better client experience because you're not being bogged down with the unbillable, annoying admin of the job. You're really letting your lawyering shine. So just quickly, what is HyperDraft? If you haven't heard of us before, not a problem. We're the legal document generation that we think you'll actually use. Basically, our big differentiator is you tell us how you want to automate your documents and what your existing workflow is, and we bring the functionality to you. We code it for you. We set it up with the triggers and automations and approvals that you want because you know how to practice law. And also that way you can, like I said, extract that value from day one and not have to worry about a rollout plan or have months of implementing the software. Additionally, we are a team of attorneys. Our founder who created this actually created this for himself and used it in practice before we became a company. So our feature set is packed with features that allow you to draft the quality of documents that you want to be known for. A big part of being an attorney is having a stellar reputation. That in of itself can be a great lead gen tool for you because it's a flywheel to get even more referrals. Happy clients are the best way to get new clients. So we really want to make sure that when you're using our document automation software, you are actively drafting your documents. So we have precedent carousels, we have auto suggestions, we have forms library, we have a lot of things that ensure that you're not just answering a Google form and it's creating a document, you are actively drafting your document and making sure that your provisions are being updated and that you are happy with kind of the craftsmanship of your documents, because that is a big part of lawyering. And then lastly, I kind of talked about this on the last slide, but because we are a document generation platform, we do all the coding, setup, and support for you, and it's included in our pricing. So there's no additional cost, no gotcha costs at the end. And we really are your long-term partner to make sure that these systems are in place and that they're working for you effectively. So now we're going to talk about kind of the matter life cycle and how you can use this to your advantage to scale your practice. So we kind of simplified it here into 3 buckets. Very simple: getting clients, working the matter, getting paid. Today, we're going to focus most of the time on this first step. The intake process is something that really can pull your practice forward if you invest in maximizing it. And so we're going to talk about how HyperDraft and Smith.ai can really help you scale your practice from the get-go. But also, because HyperDraft can help you get to the finish line, I will very quickly address how we can help you use that information you get in the intake process to streamline the rest of your process. Because at the end of the day, we love what we do, but we have to get paid. We have to pay the bills. So it's also very important that all of this adds up to the results that ultimately allows you to get money in the bank and grow your practice. So first, we're going to start with some common mistakes that we see in our clients in, the intake process. What's great, and I'm seeing this more and more, is people are really looking for technology to create systems to make their intake work more effectively for them. However, like anything, especially lawyers in law school, we're not trained to be business owners. We're not trained to be technologists. So sometimes it can be a lot of jumping between systems or a lot of trial and error. And a lot of times it also takes, more time than you would like to have to give instructions to your technology provider or to your intake specialist or to your outsourced help. And this can all lead to a lot of different touch points that you need to get all the necessary information to screen the lead, decide if it's a good lead for you, and ultimately get the case going. So the big common mistakes, just to summarize that, is too many touch points, jumping between systems. And when you do have an intake specialist, you feel like you're not getting, or outsource help like Smith.ai, you feel like you're not getting as much value as you could be, because it takes investment of time, and a lot of people struggle with figuring out how to invest the time but not spin their wheels. So the main solution that we have found and a lot of our clients have had success with is really focusing on how to maximize your first client touch point or your first lead touch point. So oftentimes people are using services like Smith.ai, which is great. And Jessica will talk about all the reasons why, if you're not using it, you should, because it is such a great way to really scale your practice and set your business up for success. But oftentimes they're using Smith.ai and they just have a static form that Smith.ai is helping them fill out. And while that's great, it really doesn't allow you to attack your ideal lead when it comes through the door, because it still requires you to do additional steps to get what you need to understand if this is the ideal lead for you, conflicts check, get you what you need for initial documents. So the main value we've seen in our clients in trying to maximize this first step is to add functionality to their intake form. And what I mean that is there's great technology out there now. We have it, other people have it, where you can set up advanced conditional logic within your questionnaires. You can set up triggers for automation. You can set up triggers for approval. You can have access controls. You basically can code instructions for your entire intake process into one form that can be given to Smith.ai or your outside sourced help, to where when your ideal client walks the door, you can streamline them through the first 3 steps very efficiently and make sure that your responsiveness and your conversion time is minuscule. So I'll just walk you through an example, because I know I just said a lot of words, but we have a client who also, they love Smith.ai as well, and how they use this basically, and you can see here we have the screenshot of the form on the side. So Smith.ai is given a secure link to your intake form, which we help you craft with whatever conditional logic or approvals you would like. And then, for example, say you are a family attorney in Texas, the person would ask what type of case. If you're looking for, an uncontested divorce, no kids, make a certain amount of money per month. If Smith.ai is getting these ding, ding, green flag answers, then the questionnaire will trigger the conditional logic to then have your conflicts check. You can already have Smith.ai go ahead and run all that information for you and say you got enough of the good stuff at the front of the questionnaire that after the conflicts check, you want to go ahead and get additional questions that are triggered for you to go ahead and start drafting your first initial fee letter, retainer agreement, engagement letter. You can also have that triggered to whereby if your lead comes to the door, Smith.ai gives only a few keywords, you could already have those drafted in your inbox for you just to approve or to make slight changes to, which is great. And we have a client in Florida who has used this to the point where they have gone from, now they say each case takes 20% of the time it used to, just because they're able to identify these ideal clients faster. And they've actually added practice areas because they're kind of 3 steps ahead. Once their ideal client is there in their initial touch point, they've maximized all the information they need. The docs are on their desk. They can make some tweaks. They can go ahead and do a consult. They can send a client portal link. They can really get this going. And, I think this is a huge competitive advantage, because the ABA this week said that it takes the average lawyer 3 days to basically get back to a lead or a contact. With this, you could do this in hours. And also, it doesn't have to be your team really sussing out the leads. It can be your outsourced help really being a great partner to you and getting all the information you need to really just go ahead and hop into the case, which gets you closer to getting paid. Another thing that we see here is sometimes people, personal preference or your jurisdictional rules, you don't want your outsourced help to do the entirety of the process I detailed, meaning you don't want them to do all the conflicts check, get some information for doc automation. That's fine too. We also have clients that kind of use a bifurcated approach where they use the advanced form that I'm talking about with their outsourced help. Maybe it would just be identifying client information and then the conflicts check. And then once that's submitted, that can trigger client portals to be sent to that lead, for that lead to have access to an advanced client portal where they could upload documents, answer questions more relevant to their confidential information that could be used for initial documents. Also, you can have invoices created through the system automatically, and they can pay through the invoice, through the invoicing part of the portal. So we've really found that kind of maximizing your forms and your client portals and having that system set in place at the outset to kind of make touch point 1 and 2 the most efficacious you can has been the largest growth and ease factor for a lot of our clients. So now I'm going to move on to kind of the working matter and getting paid part. And like I said, I'll kind of speed through this because we're going to focus on intake, and Jessica's going to take us more through the funnel and how you can really maximize a lot of the stuff I just talked about. But you work so hard to get your ideal client through and convert. And then you get to the matter where you actually have to lawyer. And a lot of the times, because it's different staff or it's different systems, or, you have a lot going on, there's a natural delay between the two. And, one of the main things that has been shown in the legal trend report year after year is responsiveness is the main thing that clients look to when kind of looking at their client experience. And so delay in that can be, often something that the client will remember. Also, having to track down signatures and payments, especially payments, is always annoying. You want to make that as easy as possible. And having to switch between systems. There are so many systems out there that are great, but having to switch between a billing system, e-signature system, practice management can be a lot. And then lastly, wasting time on the tedium of drafting. As a lawyer, I spent way too many hours using Control F, searching for precedent. And really, I wish that I had had tools that could have allowed me kind of to skip that step so that I could have focused more on making the best documents I could for my client and kind of developing my practice in different ways. So very quickly, document generation can be used to reduce your average drafting time by 90%. And we have a lot of clients who have really used this to scale themselves in a way. As a lawyer, you typically can only take on a certain number of matters at a time. But if you have forms that can be automated and that you feel comfortable that you're still creating quality work product through the system, you can take on more clients, or you have more time to train more attorneys under you. And this has been a great tool for many people to really expand the number of hours they have in the day. And the great thing about document generation is it's not just tied to what you would think. A lot of people come to us and they're like, oh, well, my document's too complicated, or I don't do corporate work. We have clients using this for client correspondence, engagement letters, pleading, discovery requests, transactional agreements, even invoices. You can generate any type of document you need to run a modern law firm. And you should take that help, because you really can just shave time off of your day so that you can grow your practice how you want to. And then lastly, I know we touched about how you can use client portals at the outset to really maximize your client experience and how you get leads through the door. But these client portals are great throughout the matter as you're working and as you're trying to get paid. And so one-click signature and being able to automate invoices and get paid through the client portal, if you're not already doing it, we highly recommend. We integrate with everybody. So whatever systems, as long as they have an open API, we integrate with them. So we have clients using a variety of payment processors through our client portal. And we also have clients that use our free e-signature, or we use whatever vendor they like. The main thing is just having a system that's organized for you and not having to spin your wheels setting it up, but really diving in and making sure that you're maximizing every step of the process. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jessica to talk more about intake and how you can make that work for you.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and share my screen now. Can everyone see me okay? Yes. Ashley, can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Perfect. Oh, Ashley, there was a question in
I just saw that.
chat.
Yes. What does the client portal look like? Okay, so actually on the last screen, and we can send the slides around, you
I'll
can
go back.
see, yes. So this check your outstanding and past invoices. Basically, the client portal looks like this, and depending on what functionalities you're using, it can have multiple tabs. So I think it can have up to 10 tabs. So it could include documents that your client has uploaded, the templates that you would like them, basically questionnaires to answer for, multiple doc automation purposes, e-signature, invoices, what have you. And what's great about that is we can help you craft what access you want your clients to have externally. Also, your team can get alerts. So say someone doesn't pay on time, which happens a lot, that can go ahead and lead for the automatic generation of, a letter to them saying, hey, you haven't paid, and that can already be, ready for you without you having to do anything. People love the client portal, and I know a lot of people already use them in their practice, but I really recommend everyone exploring and embracing them if they haven't, because it allows clients to feel like they're a part of the process too. First, at the end of the day, we are counselors. And I think lawyers forget that people come to us for security. And a lot of the times they don't know what's happening. But Client Portal is great because they feel in control and they can be more involved, which helps you. But also, it allows you to be more organized and get in front of them faster.
Absolutely. Great. And are there any other questions before we move on to the funnel? Everyone has seen this before. If you've been to a Smith.ai webinar, I'm sure you have seen this because this is really where we bring value to your firm. So when you're looking at the funnel at the very, very top, you have your unqualified and cold leads. And then as they move through the funnel, we can filter those out and they become qualified leads. This is where we'll fill out a form. They'll fill out a form on your website, or they'll call in, or they'll chat with us on your website, or maybe they'll even text message you. And what we want to focus on talking about today is qualifying the leads and doing the intake before we even get to that consultation section. The intake itself, you really want to vet the callers, vet these leads, and make sure that they're going to be a good fit for your service, because you are not in the business of doing consults, you're in the business of practicing law. So by doing consult after consult after consult of someone that's not quite the right fit, that's not a good use of your time. So a lot of times before, we recommend that people, go out and spend money on marketing and whatnot, we talk about doing your intake and making sure that you have a really tight intake process. And that's everything from the initial call, where a Smith.ai agent will answer on your behalf, filling out that intake form, and then all the way to what Ashley was talking about with the automation part. So Ashley, you mentioned something earlier, and I'm really glad you did. You said that it takes an average, would you say 3 days
3 days.
to get? No. This
Which
is
makes
this
sense, because if
this is
attorneys
the
don't have help, then they're busy, right? Which is
this
why
is
they
the
should
age.
use Smith AI.
This
Yes.
is the age of Amazon. Okay, I can get laundry detergent at my house in under 2 hours. So keep that in mind, that we truly are natures of instant gratification nowadays. And like it says right here on this slide, 82% of consumers expect an immediate response to a sales inquiry. That's where Smith AI comes in. Even if you are not available, even if you can't do the consult for a few days or a week, that's okay. We can talk to them immediately. We can talk to that sales lead immediately, give them peace of mind, do the intake, qualify them, and whatnot. The other interesting thing on this slide that I like to point out is on the right hand side, where it says 79% of marketing leads never convert to sales. So you're going to get a whole lot in the top of that funnel. And if they're coming in and they're all getting to the consult part, but they're not actually going to turn into clients, that's a waste of time. So we really try to build out that intake funnel and build out that questionnaire, so it's very, very specific to your business, and we're making sure you get the exact clients that you want. We'll go right past that one. So we're not going to solve that problem first, though, because you're going to get a ton of clients, and we're going to skip through that because I want to focus on intake, okay, and automation and quickness to response. So what this slide here represents is 67% of clients base their decision to hire a firm on their initial response. If you do not answer the phone, or if you do not respond quickly to that text message or that Facebook message, more than likely that person is going to go to the next firm on their list. The other thing we like to talk about, and Ashley touched on earlier, is customer service. If you provide good customer service, doing all of your forms with fewer touch points, providing those portals where customers feel engaged and they can find all that information they want, they're more likely to then recommend you to their friends or to someone else that's in a similar situation as them. Um, this is a general overview of the lead conversion flow because we really want to get your mind thinking about that lead conversion flow and how it's going to go. You're going to have a ton of lead sources. You'll have a lot of different contact methods and ways that people are finding your business and ways that they're communicating with your business. Then when you get to the response methods, you start to think about how you're going to handle all of these inbound calls and inbound text messages and chats and whatnot. You can do it yourself. You can have an assistant or an in-house staff who works 8 to 5 every day. You can outsource to a receptionist or a customer engagement solution like Smith.ai. You can do all of the above. You can do a combination of all of the above. Um, Really, what you want to focus on is making sure that you have immediate response and that you're asking the right questions. That when you're qualifying those leads in the qualification section, you're asking the right questions. If you just give, say, a text box that says, "Tell me your life story," well, you might not get the information you want. Maybe you should ask something like, "When's your court date?" or "Here are my fees. Are you okay with these fees?" Because a lot of people are sensitive about the amount of money that they're going to spend and they have budgets and whatnot. And that's something a lot of customers like to know up front. They like to know, so make sure you're asking those types of questions. And qualifications and doing that doesn't always necessarily mean you're providing a bad customer service. You can actually turn a bad lead into a positive experience. And that might be something as simple as saying, "Look, I don't quite do that practice area." Or, "You're a little, you're out of my jurisdiction, but let me recommend you to someone that I believe in that could take on your case and do you right." Um, so even the bad leads can turn into a good experience. And when you're providing that positive customer service there, then you're still, you still might get a good Google review, or they still might recommend you to their friend because they're like, "Oh yeah, even though they couldn't help me with this, they recommended this other great lawyer that could help me." And it all turned out okay. So think about that as well, about how you can use qualification for good leads and bad leads, both to your advantage. Um, and then here we have the intake and scheduling section, and that's going to be your basic intake, or maybe even an advanced intake, depending on what your flow is. How much information do you want to gather up front? Um, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. Oh, and designing your ideal intake process. So for everyone here that is talked or uses Smith AI, you already know that designing your intake process is part of onboarding for us, but it's also part of what you need to do to get moving with document automation and all this stuff Ashley was talking about earlier. They kind of go hand in hand together, especially since we can use each other's services. Smith AI can, our agents can go in and do exactly that for you. So basic intake might look like this: just a simple form on your website where you might say, "Hey, give me your name, your phone number." Then it creates a contact record. But as you really start to think about it, you start to think about all the different things you can do, it might start looking a little bit more like this, because you want to design it in a way that you've got that funnel and you're filtering out the bad leads and you're only keeping the good leads. So it might start looking a little bit more like this, where you ask, are you a good fit? Do we have the phone consultation set up? Is there a conflict check? I know Ashley talked a lot about conflict check. You notice in whoops, in the basic intake, there wasn't a conflict check. It was just, we take the information and here you go. Have a great day. But it can get quite involved. And that's not a bad thing. It means that we're being particular and that we're taking on the clients that we want to take. And then even further, it can get even more complicated. But both of our systems, they both handle this very easily. Um, Here I've added a create your ideal intake form kind of worksheet to get you thinking about different things, and think about what types of questions you should be asking your potential new clients. For example, if you only take checks or if you only take credit cards, asking, are you comfortable paying via credit card? Or debit card, I guess would be better because credit cards have fees nowadays. Asking the details of the case, something like when is your court date? What county is the case in? All of those little questions that you don't get from Googling what should I put on my website form. If you Google what should I put on my website form, it's going to tell you name, phone number, email address, and that's it. But I don't think that's truly as valuable as putting a little bit more information, because you need to know that if their court date is tomorrow, then that's a really important piece of information that you'll want to know absolutely upfront. So we did put this here, so that as I send out this webinar later today, you'll have this form and you can kind of look through it and talk through it a little bit. Ashley, did you have anything you wanted to add here? I saw you
Yes.
unmute yourself.
I got excited. So one of the great things is, since we help basically code our clients' intake forms, documents, whatever, we get to see how people draft, certain things. And I've seen some great questions on intake forms that I just didn't think about, but are completely like, they were epiphany moments for me as an attorney. One that I really enjoy is, have you worked with an attorney before? Because I will tell you, people, when I've advised people that have never worked with an attorney, there's a lot of expectation setting. There's a lot of preconceptions they have that I just wasn't expecting. So it's a great thing to know. Are you used to working with an attorney? Do you know that basically I'm going to issue spot? I'm not going to be your therapist. Like, do you know that I'm expensive? Things like that. Also, in this day and age, with so many people having virtual practices, a lot of people have this idea that attorneys are all in these offices and we wear suits. So if you are a virtual practice, having a question being like, are you okay with the fact that I run a virtual practice? I don't have an office. And if you need to meet with me in person, you need to give me a certain amount of days, basically kind of putting expectation setting within the form. So you said that, when you get that ideal client, you can really just expedite the process of converting and getting going on their case. But there's a lot of creative questions. And obviously, depending on how much business you're looking for, right? You can create it more frictional if you already have a ton of clients in the pipeline. You can make it very much, not deterring questions, but more questions that make the client think about if you're the right fit for them from the get-go, so you don't have to worry about it. But this is actually one of my favorite exercises, because people really come up with creative questions and they change with time. That's the other great thing about the intake process is your client's going to change. How you like to run your business based on how many matters you have is going to change. And so updating your form a couple times a year, once a year, is a really great practice.
Absolutely. I mean, we all change over time. So I would even say that about your instructions with Smith.ai as well, making sure that you're reviewing them periodically and updating them. Absolutely. So we did have two questions. One is, would you mind providing the slides from the first 15 minutes? Absolutely. I will send over the entire set of slides so you'll have them all. And the second question is from Kevin, and he says, Ashley, do you integrate with MyCase?
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. As soon as I ended and I talked a lot, I realized I forgot to talk about integrations. So really, any major practice management platform we integrate with, anyone with an open API. And to be honest, I hate even saying that, because even there are companies that are up and coming that don't have an open API, and we've been able to integrate with them as well. We really luckily haven't had an issue integrating with anybody, but we do have clients currently that are integrated with our system and my case. So that's not a problem.
Great, great. Are there any other questions? Okay, we are reaching the point in the webinar where it's time for Q&A and a little bit of show and tell. One of the things that we like to do after every webinar, as a thank you for coming, is new customer discounts. Yay. So if you're interested in either HyperDraft or Smith.ai today, then go ahead and give us the email or ring. HyperDraft. Ashley, do you want to talk about this part?
Sure. Yes, we love Smith.ai. We think they're a great partner, and we're happy to give a 10% discount to Smith.ai customers or anyone who attended this webinar. So you can email me or just request access on our website and mention Smith.ai, and we'll get you those savings.
Absolutely, great. And Ashley's email is right here. Again, it will be emailed out after the webinar. And for Smith.ai, if you are interested in trying our services, just give us a call as well. We're offering $100 off with the promo code HyperDraft100. Okay, so we did get a question in the chat, and I don't think everyone can see the public chat, but the question is, I am a Smith.ai client and I need help with my intake form. We can help you with that. Do you need us to help you craft it? So for anyone that's on the call, okay.
Yes. Okay.
So I'll find your information. I'll find your account manager. I've got your name, so I can find out who your account manager is, and I'll have them reach out to you. Or the other option, the easiest way to get a hold of Smith.ai, if you need any help with any of our services or anything that you have with us, is just to email support@smith.ai. And I'll put that in the chat for you.
And if you want to, because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, in order to accomplish what we shared today, I really need your help. Okay, well, obviously Jessica covered if you just need help to your form itself within Smith.ai. If you want to add, the automation stuff that I talked about or any of the conditional logic, feel free to reach out to me. And, the great thing about our systems is it's basically an instant integration. Jessica and I were talking about that earlier this morning. So it really just is a link. So once you get on HyperDraft, we can kind of help you do all the functionality we talked about.
Okay. Yep. I'll reach out to you after. That's easy enough. Are there any other questions today? I've got our contact information here. So if you do have any questions, you can reach out to either of us. Again, I am Jessica Paxton with Smith.ai, the product marketing manager. I'm pretty much the expert at all of our integrations and that. So if you have any questions about those, feel free to email me. And even though we are a little bit early, I'm going to stay for a few minutes in case there are additional questions. But if you don't have any questions, thank you so much for coming. I greatly appreciate you attending today's webinar.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Jessica, now I feel like I need a headset. You've influenced me.
I typically don't wear it.
It's very official though,
Yes.
It's fall and it's football season, so I'm watching a lot more sports and they're in the booth with like their headsets, and I feel like
Absolutely.
it's a level of professionalism. So maybe I need to add that to
Really?
my
I
repertoire.
disagree. I feel like it's like less professional to wear a headset.
I'm just, I don't know. There's something about having proper equipment. It's like being overdressed, like it's the added accessory of like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So Jamie sent me a good message in the chat. She said, I always ask, who is your perfect client and who do you absolutely not want to work with? Um, and then take that and figure out how to tease out that information to build your intake form.
Definitely.
Absolutely makes sense. Thank you, Mark. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Mark.
Okay, so there is a question. How do your programs integrate with my case? Seems there are a lot of overlap and duplication. Okay,
Yes. So we integrate with MyCase. So we have the functionality independently, or if you're already using the MyCase's functionalities in certain ways, you can use that. Like I said, the great thing about document generation versus automation is basically we implement what works for you. So if you decide that you like our functionality better, we can make that a part of your repertoire. And if not, then we can just take the parts of us that you don't already have and integrate that with what you're liking with MyCase or someone else.
right. And with Smith.ai, the way that we integrate with my case is whenever we take a call on your behalf, we'll check your my case system to see if that caller exists. If they do, then we can add a note on their contact account. If they do not exist, we can add them into my case and then add the note to them. I think the reason you might be thinking about overlap is because we're providing the human element. So Smith AI is providing the outsourced help that you might need to do the lead qualification and to complete the intake form. Our agents will do that on your behalf, and our agents can use the HyperDraft tools to get that done. So that might be why you're thinking there's some overlap there. Is what we do is we add in the human element. Does that answer your question? Just let me know in the chat if that answered it. Okay. So I think this question is directed to you, Ashley, about billing and portals. So I'll let you answer that.
Oh, I don't know if I see it in the chat, so
Oh,
apologies. Can you read it? My bad.
yes. The question is, I was thinking about billing and similar portals.
Oh, okay. So if I guess they're contemplating using it, or they want to compare the functionality with something else.
With my case, specifically my case.
Oh, with my case. So I can send you additional information on how it compares. There's quite a few things to go over there. Basically, our portal is very simple in the way that, it's one click. So we help you create the invoice. The client can see that it's there. They can pay it. You can connect any payment processor. But I can send you, I'm sure I can track down your contact information and send you a direct comparison of the features. But on the top of my head, I'll probably miss something. So I don't want to misquote.
And then Clifton says, I utilize my case now for billing. So I think the question is about like specifically how to use HyperDraft with my case, since there is that overlap and with, what the
Oh,
best
gotcha.
practices there are.
Yes. So we can integrate your client portal through HyperDraft with your billing if you want to do the MyCase billing capability, or I believe that my case has like a client portal as well. So we could just embed the document automation piece into what you're using with my case. It really depends on kind of, like I said, which functionality you prefer. So we can kind of mold that to make it happen. Like you said, there are some overlapping features. So many times people do need to pick whether they would like the functionality that we bring or my case, but my case is a great company to partner with. And we've had clients in the past kind of use both in a streamlined way. So it's really just assessing what your team feels comfortable with.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next question. With my case now converting billing through LawPay, is there integration for billing?
Yes. So, like I said, we can integrate with most large payment processors. LawPay is a great one. And so that's not an issue. We could either integrate into our client portal, or like I said, we could integrate other HyperDraft functionality into the existing, whatever you're using with my case.
Right.
Namely, the document automation is the main one that people really love.
And same with Smith.ai. If you're using Smith.ai, we can work with LawPay as well. Okay, so we got that one. Any other questions? All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for coming. It doesn't look like there's any additional questions. Looks like most people have left by now. So thank you all so much and have a great day.